Okay, we're here with Crazy Smooth, Bboyizm, Dance Company, Breaks Crew, Flowrock, Kossassins. Smooth, it's been a while. I don't know how long it's been, but it's good to see you. How you been?
Yeah, it's been a minute. I think the last time might have been at the Vancouver
Street
uh
Dance Festival?
yeah, Street Dance Festival. I think
Yeah,
that's
that was like
the last time I was out there.
6 or 7 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, shit is
Crazy.
wild. It's
Yeah,
wild.
yeah.
So
Um,
I didn't know you were in the future in
no,
Japan. That's crazy.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, living out here, I think it's like 10, no, 13-hour difference from Ottawa.
That's wild.
Yeah, yeah. Um, why don't we get right into this?
Yeah,
For
man.
so for anyone who doesn't know who you are, do you mind giving a little background on just you and where you come from, that kind of thing?
All right. So my real name is Wedenu Yvan Soglo. So, and I'm originally from Benin, West Africa. So I was born in Benin. I came to Canada in the early '80s. My dad was a diplomat. Basically, he was working for the Benin embassy in Ottawa. And so yeah, so came when I was young, and then fast forward, we ended up staying in Canada for we became political refugees, and
Mhm.
yeah, so I just grew up here, and I got into dancing. I mean, got into it when I was in high school. My high school, we had like every second Friday there was like high school dances, and in the dances people would do like ciphers and stuff, and so I grew up with hip hop, party dances, and one of my friends. He had, I don't know how he got this movie, but he got the movie Breaking, and so we watched that movie, and that was like our first. It's funny how depending on what you see first kind of tracks your journey into this. So
Mhm.
watching Breaking, is like popping, locking,
Mhm.
e-boying a little bit. So so that was my idea of what the dance was. So
Mhm.
so that's how we imitated what we saw, try to recreate that, find our own like style, and then with time you get exposed to the real thing. But the for me, like what really changed was when I went to Rock City anniversary, might have been in '98 or '99, and so seeing the same people that I saw in movies, Beat Street, and that I would see in the music videos and stuff, seeing them in in front of me, you
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
being in the lineup to get into a party, and Most Def is behind me, in the lineup. It was like I got exposed to the whole culture, and then I got into it even more. Like every kid addict, I was like practicing like 5, 6, 7 hours a day. And then I met people. I got down with different crews, and I'm still in the scene. I'm still doing it. 20 some years, 24 years later.
Yeah. Uh, I think like that's just one thing that I want to say to people listening. Like one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you was like you're one of the, I don't know, like to me, you're one of the most interesting people in the scene. Like you have a high level, just personal like skill level, but you you respect the traditions. You went out and you, I think like we can talk about this a bit later, but like you actually applied for a personal grant and went
Yeah,
to New York and learned
yeah,
from
yeah.
like the pioneers and stuff like that. Maybe why don't we just talk about that? Can you talk a little bit about that experience and what that was
I
like?
mean, it's interesting because to me, I was already doing that
Mm-hmm.
without the grants, right?
Mm-hmm.
Without that whole, because I didn't like. No, I mean, I don't know about you, but none of our generation really knew. of those kind of, I guess, opportunities, or that you could apply and to actually get funding to do projects like that, right? So I would have I actually heard about it, but I didn't, for some reason I didn't take it seriously. What, they're gonna give you money so you could go break? Like nobody cares about that. We're underground scene, right? But you know,
Mm.
as time went by, I was getting more opportunities, performances, and it also has to do, I think, with my personality. I have I have an addictive kind of personality, and like I'm really hard headed. So when I found out about these grants, well, I went to the Canada Council, 'cause I live in Ottawa region, and I went and I talked to one of the granting officers, and you know, she's basically like something clicked, where when she told me, she's like, well, you know, this is my job. Like, if you've never applied and you don't know how to do it, then you know, I can show you, I can teach you, but whatever. And so then when she said that, I'm like, oh, word, okay. So I was just calling all the time. I had the form, and I was, so I just like b-boying, you know, I just ask questions, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
like I'm curious and I want to know. So
Mm-hmm.
I applied kind of the same thing, and this was in 2006. I applied, and I think I don't, probably don't remember this correctly, but I think I got $14,000. And so I was already going every probably 3 months, 3 4 months. I was going to New York already. I was, you know, coming back broke, working, then going
Mm-hmm.
back. You know, I was doing that grind. But then when I had that money, well, it gave me the opportunity to have my own apartment there, and to actually live there, which is very different than making a trip, being there for a
Mm-hmm.
weekend, being there for a weekend. When you live there, the way you absorb things, the way you kind of get into you see things, yeah, you experience things. So it was it's probably the thing that like really changed my trajectory as a personally, like my level, my understanding of the dance. Everything was from that one, I guess, trip or grant that I stayed there. So yeah, so I was the first. I wasn't the first street dancer to get a grant, but I was the first to get that specific kind of grant, where the Canada Council recognized, you know, the art form, and they gave funds for me to, because you know, I wasn't going to the Broadway Dance Center to study under, you know, like this was like street dance. So I
Yeah.
showed them what exactly that I was trying to do and who I was gonna work with, and you know, and yeah, and then I got the grant. So that's history.
Yeah. Like, I think, yeah, when we first met, like when you first came to Vancouver and you mentioned that to people, and I was like, damn, I didn't even know that was a possibility. Like, that's
See,
crazy.
see,
Yeah. And it was really eye opening. And like that, just that's a thing that people can do. And there's government money that's available, that potentially available for people if they put in the work to actually get it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, and it's interesting because so when I applied, you apply whatever, you write your name, and then you have to check what, I guess, what your style is, like what, you know, contemporary dance, ballet, whatever. So you know, you scroll down, like there's no street dance, there's no b-boying, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
you have to check other, and so then you, when you read further, and they say, you know, this whole application will be judged by a jury of your peers. So I was like, yo, so hold up, who's, you know, some ballet dancer is gonna, you know, see my thing, and like, you know, like that's not the jury of my peers. So it was also an experience, or I guess a historical time where um, I talked to the county council. I, you know, final report, and I called, and like I made some noise so they could recognize and see. And then, you know, they because first when I crossed the border, you know, usually you can go into New York for a visit, whatever. I crossed the border and I had a letter from the council to say that I was coming to New York to study, and it said B-boying on the on the official paper. I think I must have framed it, or I kept it, just to say, just to show that like it's history. They never had those categories, and now if you apply, you can see that those categories are there. So it's
Mm.
like back then they weren't. So
Mm.
so yeah, it's history, man.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty cool. How long were you actually in New York studying?
Um, I mean, it's like because I did a back and forth, so probably like uh, 4 or 5 months. But I didn't just stay in New York.
Mm.
Actually, I was in Philly
Mm-hmm.
for a little bit. I went to Florida. I think
Mm-hmm.
Evolution. I'm not sure. I forget the jam. So Philly, Florida, New York, and I would like come back sometimes to Ottawa as well.
Mm.
So, but it was interesting, Like yeah, like I said, I learned so much in that time because I was staying there. I was like I didn't have to, So you go to practice, then you go back home, and then the next day. So it wasn't like a weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and then you go back home and you have like the next 6 months to kind of
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
what happened that weekend, and you know
yeah.
what I mean, like.
It's like immersion versus just kind of doing it one off kind of thing, whatever. Yeah.
And it's interesting because our generation, you know I don't know how old you are. Like, are you the same?
I'm I'm a little bit younger. I think I'm 30, turning 36 soon.
Okay, so you're still part of the last generation that like we weren't, how would I say, like the injection of money, basically Red Bull, all the like the internet, how present it is today. It wasn't like that back in the
Mm.
day. So for us is like you go to a jam, and then I don't know, 4 months later the tape
Yeah.
comes,
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
saying? So 4 6 months later, so by the time you see it, you've already gotten 6 months, 4 months better,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so there's this kind of mystery in our generation that created like more excitement, you
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean, like, or more like, oh shit, like what like what kind of moves he got, or I heard about, you know what I mean, like, but you just
Yeah.
saw that little clip in the video. So for us, I feel like, like, I mean, obviously, it's a whole different time now, but that mystery led to a lot of like creativity, led to a lot of like raw historical moments, whereas
Yeah.
today, like, it's live stream, like
Mm-hmm.
you see it, you like, like people talk about it like right then and there.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
I think like, there's still elements of that, but it's just, it's a different time, you know. Like you said, live streams, stuff comes out, or even you have the battle and then it's on YouTube the next day, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
That
there's still, it's a lot more rare, but there's still like a few people that would just kind of pop out of nowhere and like, whoa, who's this person? Like
Mhm,
suddenly,
mhm.
um,
So you're saying that there's still that.
it's yeah, it was just like it's kind of it's just different, I guess. In a
Yeah.
sense, like
Yeah, I
and
think
less and a
it
lot
has,
less, a lot
yeah,
less.
it has to be different, like
Yeah.
like when if someone asked you,
Mm-hmm.
like, can you tell me about like these memorable cipher call out battles, and like, you
Mm.
know like it, that you didn't know the person, and then you guys battled, and like it's not that it it well, in some ways it almost can't happen.
Mm.
Okay, because even though you might have not seen someone, you for sure have seen them online. If somebody
Yeah.
says, okay, you're doing an exhibition versus such and such, you go study them real quick,
Yeah, yeah,
and you know what I mean? Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah,
this kind of okay, whereas we couldn't necessarily do that. It was
yeah, for
like,
sure, for sure.
it's a funny story, but I remember, you know, I was starting to get like a name. It was kind of becoming like, Crazy Smooth, but I hadn't traveled like, across Canada that much. I hadn't been to the West, And I think with my crew, with Break School, we went to Evolution in Florida, terrorized the ciphers, did our thing. And I think I must have made it to the tape or something. I must have made it to the highlights of that thing. And I
That was a
remember,
big deal back then.
yeah, exactly. Yo, you on it? Yo,
It's like 10 seconds or something, like
yeah,
in
that's
the intro or whatever.
it's crazy. But I remember like people seeing that, but I remember Rory telling me like, "Yo, like I can't front. Like I didn't know if you were that good. Like I wasn't really like, you know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't really on the hype train, crazy smooth. But then I saw you, and it was like, you know. So to me, that's just dope. You know, like
Yeah.
because you don't know, right?
Hmm.
And you're judging from that like little clip, and you're like, oh yeah, and then fucking you come at me and like all I'm doing is power, or you come at me and all I'm doing is footwork. Like you don't know what somebody has, and you're
Hmm.
like,
Hmm.
so and that's what I mean. I feel like today you can't, oh, I'm battling Menno, you know what's up. I'm
Yeah, yeah,
battling Luigi, you know what's up. Oh,
yeah,
so it's like
yeah.
there's a little bit less of that kind of.
Yeah, it's like more, it's kind of that slow burn versus instant gratification kind of thing. When there's like, I was just talking with Profo about this recently. He was talking
Mhm.
about, this sort of thing too, and online presence and stuff like that and whatever. And one good point that he made was like back before, like, yeah, there wasn't the internet and that kind of thing, but also there was just less jams. Like, there
Yeah,
were just less things happening. And now it's like, it's become so big. And then you add on to the fact that you have the online presence where you can see everything and anyone can post
uh-huh.
anything. So it's like, there's just so much footage of things and whatever. And like you said,
It's
it loses a
saturated.
bit of that mystique of, and mystery and stuff like that when everything's there and everyone knows everything. You've seen all these people a billion times. You've seen them
Yeah.
like throughout the whole year. There isn't
You
like,
you could do their sets, yo.
yeah, yeah. Some people do, right?
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's wild when you think about it, but
Yeah.
at the same time, we can't, and I'm probably guilty of this sometimes. Like we, of course, will say, oh, it was so this in my day, it was so much more raw, blah blah blah. Like in the company, I got Jarek and Jason, the Kalante brothers, and
Hmm.
like they're humble kids, hungry. They're, they warm up with 90s and air flares and shit, like they're, and when talking to them, it's like you realize that e- even though like you tell them like a story, a dope story about like all this battle, how it happened, it's really like they can, even if they wanted, they couldn't experience something like that because it's so different now. So
Hmm.
their reality in the scene is just a completely different one. There
Yeah.
isn't like like for me anyway, like one of the things that I learned when I was in NY was like, yo, like it's a jungle. You don't know who's gonna get at you, especially in NYC. There's this reckless abandon. Like people don't give a fuck who you are. They will go at you. The guy probably doesn't even, like his level is low. He'll come at you with like the kitchen sink and throw everything at you. And
Yeah.
and so, like that kind of atmosphere, that kind of like, yo, I gotta, you know what I mean? Like I can't show weakness, or I got, I always gotta be ready. It's just not the same thing. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like now they don't, and so it's geared now, you can see, towards competition. So the execution that these young kids have now is on a
Yeah.
level that we never knew. Like they train like for Red Bull, or for the, you know what I mean, like for the Olympics. Like that's how they train, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, so I think it's dope, because they have a different reality. I wish that there would be more of that old school vibe of battling, like how
Mm.
people like schools of thought, basically, like, oh, you're
Yeah.
from that school of thought,
Yeah.
nah,
Yeah.
bro,
Yeah. Yeah.
this is how you do. I wish there was more of that, but it's quite like Worry, my crewmate from Kossassins, like he sends me stuff all the time. I'm not super big on that. I'm old school, like I'm not on social media that much, but he sends me clips, and what's that kid's name? Um, from Holland, young kid. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's just like it's just crazy. Like you
Yeah.
go, yo, imagine if, and then yeah, they're doing it,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like it's a joke,
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah,
Yeah. The level of skill is like insane right now.
yeah,
Yeah. But like yeah, it's always kind of there's there's pros and cons, and
yep.
certain things will be more prominent in certain eras and stuff like that. Like who knows what things will be like in like 10 years from now. Maybe there's going to be a resurgence of that, like I miss that fiery kind of like battle attitude, and or maybe people like, so the competition kind of thing is so oversaturated that people want to go back to just like zero competition, kind of make your
Mhm.
name on the in the dark circles kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, one can
Who knows?
only hope. The only thing that is for sure is what you said, is like the change, is
Yeah, yeah,
always
yeah.
constant. It's always going to be constant. Like,
Hmm.
and my thing is, I don't like, this. Well, I don't mind. There's just no point anyway, and fighting
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
or whatever, because it's just going to happen. But I just wish, because if you look at history, no matter what generation, there's certain common denominators,
Mm.
and for me, the evolution, it will always be there, but those common denominators need to be there, and I
Hmm.
feel that we're at a spot where, we got to be careful. We can't lose why we're called b-boys, we're called b-girls. Like, we can't lose certain things. And so I just, like with the Olympics and all these opportunities that are coming, that are like grandioso, like compared to what we had, they're great. But we got to make sure, man, like we don't we
Hmm.
don't lose ourselves, like
Yeah, for sure.
in all of that.
The essence, right?
Yeah, yeah, the essence, like why you do it,
Hmm.
like you heard that beat, shit is hot. Oh man, I got to get down.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think like, and I think that's an important role that like the older generation has, of not necessarily trying to like preach and tell people like this is how you should do it, that kind of thing, but just I don't know what the best approach is, but being a source of like, hey, this is a part of the history of the dance, and like if people are really students of the dance, like they're gonna look at everything. They're gonna look at
Hmm.
like what's now, but also okay, what came before me. Oh, I like this person, but what did who were their inspirations? Oh, let me look at them. Who were their inspirations? That
uh,
kind of thing. It's
uh,
like
uh,
the deeper you get into something, like the more important it becomes to like understand the whole history of, like, if you understand where it came from, then where it is now can make more sense, or you can bring something fresh to what's missing now because
you do it
something is,
better.
you
You
can
do
do
it
it
better.
better.
Straight
Yeah.
straight up. Like, the more understanding you have, it changes the feeling of the
Mm-hmm.
move, of like your approach of you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that one.
So that's something that I wanted to ask you too about, like, so your time in New York and Philly and Florida and these kind of things, like learning from people there. Uh, what were some of the big things, or like most meaningful lessons that you kind of took from that experience?
I mean, I one that comes to mind is, so I my mentor, my b-boy mentor, his name is K1, KWON. Swift Kids is his crew, and I met him through Breaks Crew, through Dynasty Rockers at the time, And you know, they were talking to me about yo K1, yo, because my idols Ken Swift, and they kept telling yo, wait till you meet K1, yo, oh you like Kenny, oh you like footwork, blah blah blah, yo, wait till you meet K1. So they kind of built him up to be this kind of like you know, like underground legendary figure and whatever. And so when I was living in New York, we used to practice at McCarran Park. We used to practice at Bushwick practices at Breakeasy Spot, and K1 came. He's good friends with King Uprock, and I guess they had talked about me or whatever. It's like, oh, this kid from Canada, blah blah blah. And so he came. All right, cool. Like, you know, let's meet this kid. Met him. He just his presence and the way he carried himself. I was like, I mean, my culture, I respect my elders already, so it's not even, you know, a question. But I was like, oh shit, like I felt his presence, you know, his energy. And we talked, we had a good conversation. He I guess he saw that I was respectful. He's like, all right, yo, you know, you here, so I'm gonna come out to forget like next week's practice. I'm gonna come out because you're here. All right, cool. So, you know, coming to practice. So I was, you know, once you get to a certain level in b-boying, like in our generation anyway, after you've been breaking for like 5 years, you know, you got a good level, you got your go-to stuff, you know. Destructions don't happen very often. Like you lose, but you don't get destroyed. You don't get like, you know, like
embarrassed, right?
Yeah, you don't get embarrassed. Like you could do certain moves, you could lose, but so that's kind of where I was at in terms of my level, right? So K1 comes to practice. This is an old man, right? So I'm not, you know, like I'm not expecting him. I'm expecting wisdom. I'm expecting him to, you know, and so he starts like, all right, yo, so let's see what you got. All right, cool. And first of all, I was already intimidated the way he dressed. Had a full like Dickie suit with red Puma suedes or burgundy Puma suedes, if I remember correctly. Shit, he looked mad fresh. Like just the way he was dressed, I already lost. You know what I'm saying? I was like, shit. So my man, he comes out. He's like, all right, let's see what you got. So okay, so you know, I start throwing down. I'm 26. So the battery tank is just endless. You know, like I have enough energy. So you know, I go down. Blah, 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 I do my things. Like, all right, okay, cool. So let's see. Could you do something like this? He goes down, and I'm like, first of all, he's like not making any noise. Like the shit just flows. Like mad flexible. And I'm just like, yo, like I just, you know, when you see someone's frame, part of like sometimes what's like impressive is like you don't expect the person to be able to move in a certain way. And plus he was old. So he goes down, he did some shit. And like what's to me anyway, and again, maybe it's our generation, what is the most scary is when you don't understand. So if somebody goes in and does like shit, and it's like, even whether it's impressive or not, you understand it, so you're like, oh yeah, whatever, you just did it. Like when somebody does some shit and you don't understand, you're like, yo, what just happened?
Yeah. Those are the best moves.
Yeah,
the best things. Yeah,
I was like, yo, what just happened, yo? So and then I'm like, yo, this guy's mad, like mad. Oh, like what the fuck? Okay, cool. Boom, I go in. I gotta, you know, like raise up the, you know, so I can start doing some of my go-to like bigger moves, whatever. Boom. And then he's like, ah, cool. And then he goes in and like, just like evaporates me. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, oh shit. And then, okay. And then I go in, but I'm like, I'm sweating. You know what I mean? Like I'm actually working really fucking hard. And he's not, you know, and that's also another way of, maybe our generation and the generations before, a battle is many things. It's not just, yo, I'm coming at you, whatever, you know what I mean? It's a conversation. So he's not trying to smoke me, you know what I mean? He's just like teaching me, right? It's like a free class. Yo, but try to do this. And I can't, and like, it's like every round, I'm like, yo, how come I can't hang with this fucking older guy? Like I don't fucking get it, you know what I'm saying? And so we're going at it. He's just smoking the shit out of me every round, like, you know, and I'm sweating, like, cool. And then after he's like, yo, you're good, you know, but you got to work on this and blah, 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 blah. And then I went home with the biggest headache, like, yo, what just happened? Like, how come I couldn't, you know what I mean? Like I said, when you get to a certain level, those things don't happen so often, you know? And so that's when I understood the instrument of measure of excellence, that what I believe. And it wasn't, you know, how many moves you could do, you know, it was the ism, you know,
Mm.
and that's how I came up with that concept, because I got smoked, and I was like, yo, why was he so dope? Why couldn't I hang? Is because he wasn't, one, he wasn't trying, but two, he had that ism, he had that je ne sais quoi in how he did his stuff, the
Mm-hmm.
approach that he had, the meaning behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually after that, so that's 2006 when I came back, after my trip. That's when I created Bboyizm,
Mm-hmm.
the concept. So that was probably like the one of the turning points in
Mm-hmm.
my. It was probably always in me, but like that little experience made me understand something about the dance that I didn't understand.
You made it clear, right?
Yeah, made it clear. I was like,
Yeah.
oh shit, okay. And from there on, my skill level just went like,
Mm-hmm.
oh shit, you know, because I was now striving for something different.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't, yeah, I wasn't trying to do moves, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I was really just trying to express, um, and, and, um, and channel, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like whatever it was at the moment.
Yeah. So like that's the other part of like why why I wanted to talk with you is because that's a big part of you as a dancer. Is like I think with breaking, people a lot of times get really caught up in like it's visually impressive, it's like physically impressive, and it is, and that's a really great part of breaking, that it's
Mm-hmm,
it's
mm-hmm.
so creative and physically demanding and like challenging, and that's why it's part of the reason why it's fun too.
Yep,
But
yep.
like you're one of the people that like you can do that stuff too, but you also have this the other side of breaking that gets not always so well represented is like you said, that ism, that the
Mm-hmm.
essence of breaking and like expression and this kind of thing. And like that was one of the things that when I saw you dance and saw your company's shows and stuff like that, it's like, oh damn, there's that's like that's it just made sense. Like that's a part of breaking. Like that's a big part of breaking is the expression, the dance part.
And
Yeah.
you know what's interesting is that, you know, like I'm hearing you speak, and I could see that like there's a struggle to come up with the word. And
Yeah.
that's what I
Yeah. Yeah.
find, but that's what I had when I
Mm-hmm.
was trying to explain it too. I was like, you know, like that, you know, like you know, and that's why, you know, ism is not like, it's not tangible.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something you can, you know what I mean? And it's that je ne sais quoi. And like, you know, I always say, you know, so one dancer comes, does something, the other dancer comes, does the exact same thing. Why do you like this guy more or this girl more? You know, that's what you're looking for, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and that's part of the way you dress, your character, whatever. It's like it's all of that. You can't like necessarily put that finger on it, but the
Mm-hmm.
ism, just like, you know. And so when you aspire to that, it changes everything in
Mm-hmm.
how you look, how you feel. And one of the things that you said also made me click, like it's also about the experience, wanting to be there, or having to be there, experience something and be moved by that
Mm-hmm.
thing. And as you know, we're like, you know, technology, your phone, everything like is cool, but nothing can compare to the experience. Like I was there when, like I wasn't, but like somebody says I was there when Ivan battled K-Mel at B-Boy
Mm-hmm.
Summit. You know, like I was there. Whoever was there is moved for life, yo.
Mm-hmm.
They saw that, like they, you know, we saw like 5 seconds in the B-Boy Summit video, you know, of them going at it. So when you're there and you see the trash talk, you see the, you know, it's like, oh shit, it changes you, it moves you to, you know, yeah, it's deep, man. Like the
Hmm.
ism, and that's one thing I think, a common denominator that can't we can't lose that, you know.
Hmm.
Like, you can't do, like, it's great what they're doing now with the online battles and all that, but you
Yeah.
know, we need to, you need to feel it, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think that's always been one thing. I don't know. Maybe it's just me personally, but breaking, yeah, it has that competition aspect to it. It has that competitive aspect to it. But a big part to me has always been like the social aspect. And the best events that I've been to, they might have had a competition, but that wasn't that wasn't really what I remember about them.
There you
Like,
go.
you know, what I remember is either it's meeting other people from different cities or different countries, and you chill either in the circle or after or whatever. But then also things like, yeah, just, and this isn't like competition versus cipher and that kind of thing, but it's that inexplicable kind of feeling, the essence, the ism kind of thing that happens in those circles. Like my first time at Outbreak was a good example of this. Like the competition was okay, yeah, it was high level and there's a lot of good dancers in there. But what I always remember the most is like that was the first time I really saw like real kind of like ciphers going, where it was like it's hard to even kind of explain, but it's like it's an energy that's there, and you it's like it's kind of that, I don't know how to explain it, like that feeling of you're in this crowd of people and you kind of just blend into it. Everyone kind of is one, and something is
Mhm.
like this whole thing
and
is
and
happening.
without speaking,
Yeah,
everybody understands
yeah,
what's happening right
yeah,
now,
yeah,
you know, and you're part of it. It's
yeah,
like it's surreal, that feeling, you
yeah. And
know.
that's something that doesn't come across on online, or like just at least the footage that gets released. It's all the competition, right? And like there's some hype moments in competitions, but like that feeling of being in the circle, in this crowd of people, in like this energy of people, everyone's so hungry to go in and show their stuff. And sometimes it's like a I'm the best kind of thing, and other times it's like, damn, I just want to dance and move and that kind of thing. And like, you know, you'll you'll see that kind of happen in those circles, and every, but no one has to say anything, like you said, it's unspoken.
Yeah,
And you
but you
just
see, though, that can like that can, it doesn't have to be like what you're describing. It's not necessarily at the at the competition on the stage. You know, it's like it could happen like you know, like in a little corner. It could
mm-hmm,
happen in the parking lot. It could happen like they just happen. And
mm-hmm.
it started off with you and another another b-boy, I don't know, just warming up,
Yeah,
and then
yeah, yeah.
all of a sudden, you know what I mean? And then everybody's part of it, and they're like,
Mm-hmm.
"How did this happen?" Well, it just happened, like
Yeah,
organically.
yeah, exactly.
You know, yeah, those are the best, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got stories
yeah.
like that.
And
Those are
I
the
think that's something that's so important to kind of remember. And like, I think it's a valid criticism of, say, the Olympics kind of thing, that aspect is probably not going to be there. And it's, I hope that it gets explained with, like, I don't know, commentary or background information about the
yeah.
dance and stuff like that. But the
Oh no,
Olympics are the Olympics, right?
yeah, I
I think
feel
it's
like
like you just gotta accept it.
actually I'm having
I don't know.
a chat with some representative in Toronto, I think tomorrow. And you know, I'm curious. You know, like I want to know
Mm-hmm.
anything that I can do to help,
Mm-hmm.
or to, you know, like I will. But I agree with you. It's like, how do we how do we keep that? You know, and it's not just how do we keep it. Like, it, if it's not important, then it might, like, we might just have to view it as something else, you know, like
Mm,
that,
yeah.
the Olympics, you know what I mean? Because for the people in the scene, it has to be important. Like
Mm-hmm.
what you just described, like it has to be important because that's the magic, you know, like wanting to go to the Olympics or Red Bull or these competitions, like it's hype moments, but that's not why our culture is still here today. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like that's not the what it's those that common denominator of like that social gathering,
Mm-hmm.
the interactions, people, you know what I mean? Like, yo, I don't know, people like drinking and chilling and you
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's what brought us to where we're at today. And you made friends for life that people that maybe don't break anymore at all or not, you
Mm-hmm.
know, but you still have that connection, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's just the Olympics and that kind of competition, I'm not sure, you know, I don't think we would survive, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so.
Bring
um, let's kind of, because we kind of skipped over it and we got into this, yeah, like well, we're still talking about it.
it back, bring it back, bring it
Yeah.
back.
I want to talk a bit more about, yeah, your dance company, and just kind of talking a bit about like about doing dance, as more specifically breaking, like outside of competitions, and making a building a career out of that, that's outside of competitions, outside of just like teaching and that kind of thing, which is the usual typical route that
Yeah,
people can
yeah.
see.
Yeah, you know, so I was now I forget, it's in the 2000s, but I forget what year, but because I live in Ottawa, I'm right next to the National Arts Center, right? The NAC, and there's always like crazy dance seasons. They have like the biggest like you know, Kid Pivot,
Mm-hmm.
Akram Khan, like they have the biggest shows come. And so one year, I was working as a cook at a restaurant, Saint Hubert, and on my break, I get a message on my phone, on my cell phone, and it's B-Boy Ivan, Universal B-Boy. He's like, yo, you know how he speaks. Yo, what's up, B-Boy Crazy Spoon? Like, you know, like we out here in Ottawa, but and I was like, yo, shit, like, how did he get? I don't even know how he got my number. But and he was out there, him, Abstract, Cricket, a bunch of them. They were out there because they were performing in Rennie Harris Pure Movement dance company, and they were performing at the NAC. So oh shit, you know. So I went to see their show, and then we went back to their hotel, chilling, watching videos, and and then we're watching one of the videos we were watching was Battle of the Year. And in Battle of the Year, they're you know how the whatever, I don't even know if it's like an official formula, but they have all the crews do shows, and then
Yeah, yeah.
the best shows end up doing a battle, whatever. Anyway, we're watching the shows, and I just made a comment. I'm like, yo, that's fucking whack. This is fucking bullshit. Like that's not like real like b-boying, or like that's not how we do it. And both Ivan and Abstract said, yeah, maybe you're right, but you can't really say shit, you know, because like, what are you doing? You know,
Yeah, yeah.
we can't. We got to stop talking if you're not doing anything. But you know, I stayed quiet. It was cool, but in my head, it stayed there.
Mm.
Like it stayed. Like I cool. You know, I'm gonna. I told myself I'm gonna represent uh, our culture or what we do authentically on stage, because especially as well at the time there was more and more like street dance on stage, but more like fusion. You know, the champions at the time were Rubber Band Dance, was 605 Collective, and you know, like dope companies, dope
Mm-hmm.
shows, you know, but they weren't street dancers, but they were being labeled a lot. Like the
Yeah.
publicity was like, yo, the street dance, whatever. And
It
I was
was
like, yo,
mixed, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
it was mixed, which is dope, which is fine, but that's
Mm-hmm.
not what we do. And I was like, all right, cool. Took the challenge, and then you know, fast forward, we did our first show in at the Canada Dance Festival in 2009. Then we did ISM in 2010, and then we just took off, you know, and so that I took it as a challenge, and one, I just love performing, I love being on stage, and I want to just stay myself. I want to
Mm-hmm.
be myself. And part of the idea of the company for me as well is, as you well know, as you see on the screen, Breaks Crew, Flowrock, Kossassins, like and I used to be down with Canadian Floor Masters. I was down with DDT crew in Toronto. I was really tired of crews, you know, because the love, the passion, that I like. That's just the kind of person that I am, you know. Like I'm a ride or die kind of dude, you know. So I rep the crew, you know, and there's always conflict in people's interest. So the crew, the idea of the crew, kind of like it goes to a certain point, and then people have different like, yo, no, let's do this, no, let's do that, and like people don't agree. And I saw really far, you know, like we could do this, and then people just want to chill, not practice, smoke weed. I'm like, that was never me, and I was kind of tired of all that. And I thought to myself, okay, I because I love these people that you know, like they're part of my history. So I never really want to not be down, right? But I can't let my goals or someone else's goals like be a point of friction of conflict where we can no longer, you know. So the idea of having a dance company for me meant, well, I could be with everybody that I'm cool with, and we all work towards a project. And it doesn't have to be the crew. It doesn't have to be, you know what I'm saying? Like this is the mandate of the company represents this. This is what we're trying to do. We're, you know, whether it's through classes, whether it's through workshops, whether it's through corporate gigs, whether it's through theater performances, you know, like this is project. So for me, so that's why like I really pushed the idea of the company so I could like keep expressing myself through street dance, through b-boying, through and the different styles that I do, and not have to be attached to a crew. Because when you're attached to a crew, you want to go here, but the crew doesn't. It's like, oh, you know,
Mm-hmm.
kind of it weighs on you, you know, and it kind of drives you down. So that's why I pushed the company, and we were able to achieve you know, incredible things. You know, we toured and we performed, and that's part of for me, like that's part of the journey in b-boying and street dance. Is like the more you travel, the more you meet other people, uh you know. And it's also interesting because it's the growth of an artist is those experiences and who you meet and who you talk to, like how that makes you grow
Mm-hmm.
in your approach and how you create and how and your perspective, you know. And I still remember today, like I was having a chat with Ken Swift, who he's in Ottawa, talking, or I might have talked to him when I was in New York. I don't know, but like asking him, you know, and me, I'm a young kid. I like asking questions, you know, and him telling me, well, you know, like b-boying is like where it was created wasn't on stage.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't whatever, like in a theater performance or whatever. And so the sheer fact that you go on stage, you're not like really doing it. You're not
Mm-hmm.
really doing the dance. You know what I mean? So that was the first time I heard like a very purist approach to it, which and it was coming from you know top three best
Yeah.
b-boys in the world, right? So it was like, oh shit, but I don't agree. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Like,
Yeah.
so, which is interesting, you know, because when part of the reason, or not part of the reason, but like some of the best footages of Kenny is when he's rocking it on stage, and he's
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, doing his thing on stage in a performance and like whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yet the same person says, yeah, but that's not the real. That's like you can never, right? So it's interesting, and so you know you start debating with yourself in your
Mm-hmm.
head. Is it really there? You know, but I feel so raw. I feel so, you know what I mean? But it's different, you know. But then I like getting down in the cipher. I like, going to a jam. I like, so they are all part, and I partly agree with Kenny
Mm-hmm.
or with the Pierce approach, because it's right. It's like that's not where it was, but it doesn't mean you can't be a b-boy when you're on stage. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
personally don't agree, but
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, yeah. Through the company, I learned so much about myself. I learned
Mm-hmm.
so much about perspectives of the dance, of
Mm-hmm.
yeah, of art.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an artist, and I'm a fan
Mm-hmm.
of just art in general.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that when I saw the company's show for the first time, like that's one thing that really stood out is like you said mentioned before, like there's other groups that have been incorporating sort of like street dance kind of stuff within their
Yeah,
movement, but they weren't like pure street dance kind of movement. It was like you said, fusion mixed with say contemporary or whatever, and it's incredible movement. It's really cool, really interesting. But your group was like when I saw it, I was like, damn, that's they're representing breaking like on the stage in the theater, like pure breaking. Like it wasn't yeah, it wasn't mixed with stuff. It wasn't like, oh, we're gonna do breaking, but it's to this whatever kind of
yeah,
completely different music or something like that, contemporary
yeah.
kind of.
Which is not bad. Like we're not
Yeah,
saying
yeah, yeah,
it's
exactly.
bad. It's just, yeah, it's
But
different.
that was like to me, it was so refreshing to see that. I was like, there, and but it wasn't kind of like because you can have that kind of show, but it can feel sort of like very uh what's the word like we're putting on a show for you, that
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
thing. But your show is like, okay, we're doing that, yeah, but we want to show the dance in its as pure as we can show it, but also like you know have a message, like express something, right?
Make you think.
Make you think, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I think for me the biggest thing like what I took away from that is like I think you guys did a really good job of representing that essence, that ism of breaking. Like I felt it a few times, like well, like not a few times, like a lot, often during the show where uh people like you can feel it. They're not like rehearsing this thing. Maybe it's particularly in people's solos or something like that or whatever, but
Mhm, mhm,
it's
mhm.
like you can feel that essence kind of coming through of like this is like a reaction, or it's not even a reaction, it's just the music is playing and it's making you want to move a certain way, and that
Mhm,
way might be different every time, but it's got a certain feel, a certain aesthetic or whatever, and that kind of thing. And I thought that was like really, it came off really well in your shows.
Yeah, and it's actually something
Shows.
that as a choreographer, it's probably the hardest thing, because it's like you just said, it's different every show,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you can put your all the ingredients for you to kill it, to
Mm-hmm.
kill that solo, to kill that thing. So I put your best music, you got your best floor, you're around the best people, and it doesn't come out how you want it, right? But you're always aspiring to that. So
Mm-hmm.
part of the challenge and part of the what I like is giving that, like in a show, in our choreographies or pieces, is like giving the space for that to happen,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're one of the dancers, it's like we have like, okay, so the intention here is that, and like whatever, like we structure it in a way, but as soon as that path is created, like you're going to find yourself within that path,
Mm-hmm.
with
Mm-hmm.
that, and then we might finish. So yo, Dean, you fucking killed it. Like yo, what happened? Like you feel it differently every time. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
and that's for me, I love that. I love because I believe, and maybe we're not successful every time. Like Um, but I believe that some people or the audience will feel that, like
Hmm.
the how genuinely we're doing what we're doing. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
might not happen all the time, but
yeah.
you know,
But yeah, like when it does, when it happens, like it's not, you can't be like, it's exactly like you said, like you can't put your finger on like what exactly it was, but there's something about it that you just get, as an audience member, you just get glued to what this person's doing or what this group is doing, and it's kind of like, I I kind of compare, like as a dancer, you can have that feeling of like you're just flowing and you're in the zone, you're in the moment, kind of, you're
mhm.
not thinking about anything. But as an audience member, you can, if they're good performers and they're at that level, they can do that kind of stuff. As an audience member, you get taken into that too.
Oh yeah,
Like you're not
oh,
trying to think of like, well, what does that mean? What is that? You're just watching, and like you're not,
they take
you're
over.
in that same flow, but as a, from
Yeah.
an audience perspective of like,
Well, put it
just
like
you
put,
can't even say anything about it. Like,
put it like this: whether it's like through our performances, whether
mm,
it's through like a competition, a battle, just getting down, whatever, you can never be indifferent to the ism because it touches you
mm,
as a b-boy, and I'm sure you could say the same thing. There's many times that you've been left indifferent, like yeah, that was crazy, yeah, yo, that was, yeah, I fucking, yeah, he killed it, but you're indifferent. There's like, it's kind of like what I was a bit hearing from you earlier when we were talking, was like, yeah, the kids are dope, but like you you still want, like, you
yeah,
want that something, right? So it's
yeah,
like, you can, with the ism, whether the person does 10 rotations or one and a half, it with the ism, the feeling, you can never be indifferent. Like, how
mm,
can I be indifferent when my boy is sending me footage of like kids doing like 30, 90 rotations, and I'm literally indifferent? It's like, yeah, cool, like, you know what I mean? It's dope. Like, yeah, it's dope. I'm not, but like, but someone will come in and do whatever, like some top rock, and do a character, and it's like, I just fucking lose my mind, like,
I I think, just like through talking about this, like just while we're having this conversation, I think like part of it is a bit of that like spontaneity and novelty of whatever you're seeing, and
mm-hmm,
like, you know yeah, like whatever 3090s is crazy, but it's kind of like, okay, but it's just a 90 but just longer. It's like
yeah,
I've seen a 90 and I've seen 290s and I've seen 390s, and like, okay, yeah, it's crazy, like, but you're still just doing a 90 that's longer, or like, but when and I think part of it is like, it depends what level of detail you have when you're watching someone, but it's
mm-hmm.
like, especially when you talk about something like character, or just something like these little top rock steps, this little footwork step, it's like those little details can be that novel feeling of like, and maybe you can get that with 90s too, I don't know. But
Yeah, of course,
yeah.
like, like I have this conversation with my crew all the time. They all know, like, I hate hand hops, right? Like, I, like, this is one of the moves I just despise. But they're calling me a hater or whatever, all that. And I said, you know what, okay, let's speak truth. I I haven't seen hand hops b-boy yet. I
Mm.
always see this fucking exercise on the dance floor, and
Yeah.
then boom, 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 boom. I never see like that, like, yo, I'm gonna do like two hand hops, then get down to my freeze and a swipe, boom, hand hop. Like, I don't see like I just see an X, and I hate seeing, like, in on the dance floor,
Hmm.
somebody spitting on their head, like, and that, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, what are we, like, where
It
are we here?
looks, it's like
You know?
prepared, it's rehearsed,
Yeah.
it's all right,
You
I'm
know?
gonna do the move, I'm gonna do the
Yeah.
thing.
yeah, and then the whole crew in the back is like doing it as well. Like, it's like I just kind of, like, yeah, I'm partly a hater as well, but like, I like, it's like I want to see it b-boy, I want to see it b-girl. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Yeah.
can't. It's like I can't see this exercise. And like Donnie Crumbs, like some people say he made that, he definitely made it popular, and everybody started doing it after him. But even him didn't do it the way people are doing it. You know what I'm saying? His was like kind of more like, I'm fucking, you know what I mean? Like, and when he was young, especially, he was mad strong. Like, I'm just like straight up jumping on my hands, and then I'm going into this freeze and blah
Yeah.
blah blah. Right? Like now it's like it's an exercise, yo. Like they doing that shit. I'm just like, no, like stop that, yo. I can't, yo.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
fucking
yeah.
hate that move.
Yeah. But like, and I guess this is like a preference thing and what people are looking for. But like I saw it a bit, not a bit. Like I when I first heard about say your Kossassins crew,
Mhm.
like you and Wari,
Yeah, yeah,
is it just the two of you?
yeah. Just the two of us,
Just
man.
the
Two
two.
renegades, yo.
Yeah, I think it was like you guys have a clip that's just about you, like the group, the
Yeah,
crew, and
yep.
like when I was watching that, it's just you. It's the kind of thing again where you can see like these two guys are just there dancing. It's like they have that ism, that essence, that kind of like you can feel something, and it's not about what you guys are doing. It's kind of like how you're doing it, when you're doing it, these kind of things, and
Yeah,
like
if you see that video, you're right. Like, cause we did that because this is just dance is just so much politics, and like people are people are not always, I feel anyway, people aren't always honest with themselves and
mm,
honest like online and stuff. And we were really, really tired about the politics of the dance. And both him and I, it's just funny because we both got down in Dynasty very close. Like I'm not sure. Maybe he got down, then I got down, but it was very. And we both speak French, and we're both African, and so we clicked right away. And as time went by, we both got really tired of like the politics and the bullshit and people not like raising their level. You know what I mean? Like, because it made us wonder, like, yo, we got in this, and everybody was motivating us. Oh, we're gonna do this. We're gonna, and it's like people just chilling, not doing, like, not getting better, talking shit online, and it was just like, yo, we just want to dance, man. We just want to like, we want to do it,
mm-hmm,
Anyway, so without getting into details, we broke off, and we created our crew, Kossassins, which means dance assassins, basically is what that means. Kosa means dance in Cameroonian, and Makosa means I dance. So that's why we use
that's what that
the
means.
that's why we put Kossassins. Anyway, and in the video we talk about the inspiration, who taught us, how we got in, and how we created our rocking style of
Mm.
how we dance. The same thing, like mad, like politics, and oh, you're not really blah blah blah. So yo, just do the dance, man. Like stop, you know what I mean? Like just stop it, yo. Stop talking. Like do the dance, like kill it. Do your thing, and that's what we was like. That's not what we were trying. That's what we're about, Like if you want to do like we could show you, because we learned from the OGs. Like we do all the styles. We'll show you, but this is what we created from that, and this is like the school of thought or the philosophy, and
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it's like we got some love, but like it's the politics of dance. Sometimes it's just like, damn, man, this is mad whack.
Yeah, but like I think sometimes it's not always about like does this crew reach a whatever this level of recognition. Sometimes it's just like you just want to do it and you want to represent who you are, and that's the most important thing. And like, I don't know. So
Word. I mean,
to
that's
me, you guys, I don't know, you reached at least one person, and I felt something, and I was inspired by it. And I don't even rock like, and I don't really like necessarily want to like learn it, but I watched that clip and I watched you guys, and uh, it just made me appreciate just dancing more and that kind of thing. So.
Appreciate it, my brother. Because to me, you're right. You know, we don't do it for anything else but that. But when you get recognition, not recognition, but like when you get recognized, you know, and people understand, like people like you just saying that to me, like that's all I need. That's all I really care for. Like I don't care for all that other stuff. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
I just want to dance. I just want to kill it. And you know, just it's funny we're talking now. Like I was talking to Wari this morning. Actually, he's in France, and we were like, look at we send each other clips sometimes, like of you know, like some of the new generation rockers and stuff, and it's like it's kind of like damn, like it hasn't evolved. Like
Mm.
it's like it's sad to you know to us it's sad. It's like you know how come you know it's still to this level, like I don't know 20 years like at least 10 years later, you know, and we're just like damn, it's like how is it ever gonna get like really raised because is younger people trying to dance like old old men
Yeah.
that can't really do things anymore. It's like you know, at some point, guys, you know, you got to elevate the dance. So it's
Mm-hmm.
anyway. You know, we're speaking real talk here, so I'm just saying it how I feel it. You know.
Yeah, but I get that. Like, it's it's kind of come up a few times, like just with breaking, for example. Like, you have some people who are very like kind of purists, and like this is the way that breaking should be, and this is the way it should be done, and this is not breaking, and this is breaking, and like kind of I this is what I feel. I think is like breaking has become this like insane thing and this global phenomenon that you can go to any country and there's someone probably doing it. There's a crew somewhere. Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because of, in part because, yeah, there's rules, but there's kind of no rules,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of like what you were talking about with say you give people a path, but you let them figure out how to go about that path. That's kind of like what makes breaking special to me, what makes it fun and interesting, and why I want to keep doing it, even though like I'm getting older and it gets more difficult to do stuff just as you get older.
No
like
doubt.
like because it's not like, oh, if breaking was like you have to do windmills and you have to do this, it's like, all right, well,
Rap.
I'm
You just cut. You just cut half the population.
yeah, right. Like, I'm not gonna figure that stuff. Like, I can kind of do it, but I'm not. It's not at any good level or anything like that. Like, but if I can be doing like weird footwork and not even maybe do footwork, but like I'll start using my head or something like that, or just doing things that are like outside the box, of outside of like what is breaking, then that's fun for me, and that keeps me going and keeps me motivated and that kind of thing. Like, I still try and respect where it comes from and what it is, what I
Mhm.
feel, what I know, what my knowledge is of it, of like what the box is, and then try and experiment and think outside it. And
So keep this. K1, my mentor told me this one time. He said, if somebody tells you he's a b-boy, first show him proof.
mm,
And show and prove doesn't mean yo you got to do I don't know, whatever, like a crazy round or a crazy set or whatever. You will know if that person is a b-boy or a b-girl after 5 seconds, maybe even less. You'll
mm,
know. And so, what does that really mean? You know, so because like it's not like he broke it down, like you know, like and a lot of like elders and OGs, they have that mystery, you know, and it's like up to you to kind of figure out. And to me, what that meant, and because I've experienced it like over time, you know, I'm sure you've experienced it too. Like, you know, you randomly talk to somebody or see someone that says, "Oh yeah, 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 I used to break," you know, and you're kind of like, "Oh shit, hold up, give me a second." Walking, willing. Um, you know, oh yeah, yeah, I used to break, and you're just like, okay, you know, what does that mean? So
Yeah.
show and prove. After half a second, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, it's real. Oh, okay, it's not real. You
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
know, right? So what that means is that ism or that essence, that understanding that you're talking about b-boying, whether it's through power moves, whether it's through top rock, or it's through footwork, the lack of footwork, the fluidity, the character, you will know and you will see within 5 seconds if you're dealing with a b-boy or b-girl.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so that to me says it all. Like you don't need a set or whatever. And K1 always told me all these OGs they tell you they used to break. Well, now ask him to show you.
Mm-hmm.
Ask, you know, don't tell me. Ask him to show you. And then he said you'll know. You'll know if
Mm-hmm.
they were b-boys because I'm not trying to see you do like all your best sets from 1978. You know what I mean? Like you're older, but show me as soon as you start moving like that, the way you get up, the way you say no more, say no more. I already know what's up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But if I can't see it, and it's like and I know it's like you know like you're, you know, I don't know, you're not a b-boy or you're not a b-girl. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. I just think that like it speaks to the untangible je ne sais quoi nature ism of what we do, and it's always there. It was there in the 70s, it's there in the 80s, it's there in the 90s, in 2000s. It's still like you know when someone is doing it. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Whether they're commercial b-boys on Red Bull or not, you know when someone is like rocking, you know?
Yeah, yeah. For sure, for sure. Um, yeah.
I should, you know, it's like, you know what's interesting? It's like I don't know about you, but for me, I've had like ups and downs, you know, with like my feeling about the scene, about you know, like wanting to be there, not wanting to be there, different, you know. But whenever whenever we are able to, I don't know, whether it's through talking, what you know, we connect to that source, to the reason why we do what we do. Like we connect to it with music, with you know, like I get like, yo, you know, like I'm probably gonna leave this conversation and be like, yo, I fucking love being a b-boy. Like I, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like that it's like what it that untangible nature, what it feels like, what it gives you is like that's what it's all about, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like it makes me feel good, you know?
Yeah. Well, I've been thinking about this a lot too. Like, I think, dance, especially breaking, has that idea. It's kind of built into the culture of like, you want to prove yourself and show that you're the best and that kind of thing. And like, I think that's a good part to have part of the time, or it's a
Mm-hmm.
good maybe motivator in the beginning, especially when you're young and hungry and
Oh
maybe
hell
a
yeah.
little bit ignorant maybe. But like,
Yeah.
I think the things that really keep people going or remind people of like why they enjoy something is that kind of either social aspect or the community aspect or things that are like put, it's kind of like, it's not just breaking, it's like something that will make you feel like there's something bigger than just yourself. Like when you go to some of these events, or I mean, you could even say seeing what people are doing now with their online events or trying to do. Like, it's like people are so passionate about it and they want to do something for the community. It's not
Yeah.
about them
Yeah.
and their own status and their own whatever. It's like, well, we can't have jams, so let's try and do something. And like, some of them
Yeah.
are good, some of them suck, and some of them are good, but like people are trying, right? And they're
Yeah,
trying to
just
make it
like
work.
any jam,
Yeah.
even even the jams that you're there in person, some of them are
Yeah,
good, and
exactly, right?
some of them are shit. But yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with you. Like it part like partially defines you,
Mm-hmm.
like within the culture. Like you know, I know that for me, for a while, like through like some of my injuries, I had like longer spells where I couldn't get down like without risk of like hurting myself and stuff. But like, there's not a time in my life since I became B-boy Crazy Smooth, like since I was like involved, that I haven't felt like a B-boy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it to me is like, let's say I go off and like I become uh I'm just talking shit. I become a real estate agent. I'm a fucking b-boy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I become some computer programmer. I'm a b-boy. Like it once you get into it in a certain capacity, like it's like it just stays with you in
Mm-hmm.
everything you do. Like you see some clips and you've probably seen them, like people that are in the military, and then oh shit, they're at their postage and like, oh yo, I'm gonna throw down real quick, and they start throwing down. Like you're always a b-boy. You see like people like suits and whatever, and they're like, oh, they hear the yeah, take that shit up, they got to get down real quick, and then they go
Yeah, yeah.
back to Wall Street. Like once it's the community. It's like you're a b-boy, like you're a b-girl, like it's just there, like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
whatever, you know, yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Maybe
fun.
that's a good opportunity to talk about. Kind of one of the last things that I wanted to bring up with you is like, um, you're just talking about like longevity in the dance, and you've been going strong for so long, and like you've had injuries, you've had, I think, surgeries, right?
Yeah, four
4 surgeries. Yeah.
four four knee surgeries. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe, yeah, just talk a little bit about
Yeah, longevity.
longevity.
In 2001, I did my first big show in France with Flowrock crew, and in the crew is many members, but one of them is like an OG from Montreal, DKC Freeze, and um, so I was 21 when we did that. So young buck, full of energy, super like hype, and like b-boy or die, or like I was hardcore,
Yeah.
and I remember him telling me, he said, like, I'm not saying this is you, but I'm older than you, and within my time I've seen people with the same passion you have, or maybe even more, and that don't break anymore today. So before you say that you're never, because I was like, yo, I'm never gonna stop. Yo, people that stop, they're not really real, blah blah blah. Like, young and ignorant, right? And he told me, like, wait, because you don't know. You say that now, but like, only time will tell if this is really right. And so here I am now. I'm 40, and so still consider myself fairly young, but like within my timeline in this dance, I've seen so many people come and go,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like that's just my timeline. So you end up like, as you grow older, you start understanding that life is just like I just have more respect for people that keep doing it through the trials and tribulations of life. It's not school. It's just life. Like things. your road like goes, you have a girlfriend, oh shit, like she's never the reason like you were breaking in the first place, but for some reason like y'all break up some shit and then you just stop for a minute, like you stop for a while, something happens, life happened, oh, you got a kid, oh, your mom was sick, or like life, and so when you can keep going through life and still dance, that means like it holds a very important place in your life and in your heart. So for me, I've never questioned it, but I have gone through like many depressions with breaking, because at one point, everything that I had, everything I had wished for, like, oh, I had funding, we could practice, we could, but the more success I was getting, the less I was dancing
Hmm.
freely for me,
Hmm.
like there's like pressure because it was like work, and also what's the next show, what are you going to come up with,
Hmm.
like there's all these, and even like some of the school shows that we were doing is like, there was like a wear and tear of being, and at some point I was like, yo, like I can't, like it's I love dancing, but it's like it's not it's for some reason it was making me unhappy,
Hmm.
so I had to go through that, and then again rediscover why I love this, and then oh shit, and so I never see myself like stopping unless obviously you know even in a wheelchair probably I'd still, what I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, I was gonna say.
you know I never really, what I'm saying, I never really see me stopping, and the form, the creativity, the whatever, how it's going to come out, we'll see, but dance for me is like it's not, there's a lot of people that love it and are really good at it, but there's another group of people that it's a little bit more, they need it, like some
Hmm.
people need it in a way that is more than just like, yeah, it's fun, this is what I love to do, and I think I'm one of those people,
Hmm.
definitely, that,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it kind of comes down to like, yo, why are you doing it and what do you love about it? Because I think it's like, I think there's some people who love the dance, whether that's the feeling of like expression and kind of like losing yourself at the music and that kind of thing, or there's other people who love the creative aspect and just
Mhm.
creating these random little things, details and whatever it is, but like they love the dance. And I think there's other people that love, they fall in love with maybe like the competition or the success or the fame or the whatever, these kind of fleeting things that don't
Mhm.
last. And then when that's gone, or when they can't do it, or when they can't compete, or they get injured and they can't whatever do that, participate, like then it dies out. But people who are in it like for the dance, for whatever reason, it's like you said, you can be in a wheelchair and like you can't move the same way, but you're gonna want to move. Like,
Yeah, you're still
you know,
getting down,
you could be like a paraplegic, but your eyes are still gonna, you know, if you
I
hooked up
mean,
something to show the movement, like,
Lazy Legs told me that, and it's interesting, like the piece that I'm working on now, the title is In My Body,
mm-hmm,
and it talks about aging as a
mm-hmm,
street dancer,
mm,
and in the cast I have ten dancers, five guys, five girls. I have DKC Freeze, who's going to be 57 when we I have Tash, who's going to be 50, and I have the Kalante brothers, Tiffany, so I have like kind of like every generation,
mm,
like, and the discussions and like what's happening is like, it's so interesting, right? It's so beautiful to see that intergenerational
mm-hmm,
aspect of our culture, which is very, very unique
mm-hmm,
to us, like a lot of dance styles, or art forms you can't really exchange with like your elder in a way. You know,
Mm.
they're either already gone or you know what I mean. So we have
Yeah.
the opportunity to like
Yeah.
really mingle and you know like rest in peace to all the OGs that we've lost, Don, Tyrone, you know, like the Shabadu, just you know, it's like
Hmm.
yes, but regardless, like we have that opportunity to kind of exchange and to share those moments, you know, like to have DKC talk about how it was and DKC being around the Kalante brothers who are in their 20s going crazy and like you know what I mean, like
Hmm.
and me who's in the middle, you know, that like I'm getting closer to DKC but you know like I'm still feeling like a little bit young like with you know it's like it's a yeah it's a beautiful thing and a unique thing
Hmm.
of our community and I think you know it's like what's key is that interaction like we need the OGs we need them to whether they're dancing or not like we need them to be there you know
Hmm.
and we need like we obviously it's a youth culture it's like it's made by youth so we you know what I mean like it can't exist without the youth so we need them to
Hmm.
be like young and crazy and you
Hmm.
know trying to do
Yeah.
no spins and shit you know
I think it's like, yeah, especially now. I was just talking with Profo about this kind of thing, and just it's so easy, especially now, for things to get really like divided into this camp and stuff. And that's one
yeah
of them is like, oh, you're the old generation, like whatever boomer kind of thing, that kind of whatever. And oh, you're just like a young whippersnapper. You don't know what you're talking about.
yeah
Like you don't have any experience, that kind of thing. It's like it's kind of like, well, it's all of that. It's both of them. Like you're all part of this thing,
the
and it's not like,
ecosystem
yeah. And I think that's like, your generation and I guess I'm kind of at the tail end of that.
yeah
Like, it's kind of neat that we're in that position of like we we have that a lot more like closer knowledge, I guess, of like the older generation, um, but then also still being connected with a lot of the youth, and maybe not even feeling like we're like older
yeah
guys, in the scene, that kind of thing. We still feel young,
yeah
that kind of thing. So it's kind of like a unique position of being connected to these completely like
we're
opposite
kind of
ends.
acting like a bridge
Yeah.
in a way, right? But
Yeah.
between the two and having the ability to see to understand what the older generation are talking about, but
Hmm.
simultaneously understand what the younger generation are feeling and what they're young
Hmm.
and their aspirations so it's like it's a like some people like sometimes they'll be like yo smooth like you OG I'm like oh whoa
Yeah, yeah,
no you know what I'm saying but
yeah.
like but I can see I can understand where they're coming from because I might be the person they see or they oh shit crazy smooth like oh like oh street dance company like like they're like 19 you know what I
Hmm.
mean like
Hmm.
of course they're gonna see me
Yeah.
as an OG but it's yeah I think it's important because we all the scenes like where there was a big or the scenes or the times in history where there's a big disconnect between the OGs and the younger generation there's a lack in that scene
Mm.
like in the sense that what you're talking about was like how they're all part of it right that
Hmm.
ecosystem that ecology you need the old you need the middle you need the young you can't if you take one away there's
Hmm.
going to be an imbalance and all the scenes in the world where that the presence of the OGs were removed the scene will lack there will be a time in history where it's like oh what happened here you know what I
Hmm.
mean like oh like in France for instance there was a time where there's like beef, or like the OGs weren't connected with the young, and
Mm.
you see that generation that were there, there was something lacking,
Hmm.
in their dance, and oh shit, like, oh, they connected again. Like, you see that it changes. Like, it's an interesting uh, phenomenon to observe. Like the fact that you need all of them, otherwise
Yeah.
it just creates an
Yeah.
imbalance.
I think that's a good, I don't know if that's the right word, but it sounds right to me. Like the ecology, the ecosystem, it's like it all
Yeah,
works together. And if
yeah,
you
yeah.
remove one single thing, it kind of falls apart.
Yeah, like, what,
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, you need, like, how can you go to a jam without young people? It's just like boring. Like, you'll be tired
Mm.
when you get there. Like, you get there, like, fuck, I'm tired. No, because there's no. I see it in the, because I hustle as well, like, a lot, and in the social dance scene, like, that's what it's all about. You go social dance.
Hmm.
When you get in, and it's like just the old people, it's like, yo, you're tired, man. Like, it's like, so when there's some young people, they bring the youth, the
Yeah.
vibrance, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and then it awakens the OGs, and when they are awake, it might not be the whole night, but there's gonna be a moment where they can channel, and they have that ism, and if you catch that moment,
Hmm.
the youth will now grow, because they
Yeah.
saw, they caught that, but they need to be there to awaken the OGs. You know what I mean? So it's like the
But it's
same
like
thing.
it's like a feedback kind of loop, you
Yeah,
know? The younger generation can, if people have the right kind of mindset going into it, I think it's like the younger generation can inspire, reinvigorate the older generation, and
absolutely.
then but then that gives the younger generation like a glimpse of like, oh damn, like that's what it is. Like you said, that ism comes out, and
Yep,
like,
yep. And
and
then
it
imagine,
just goes like in a circle and inspiring each other and that kind of thing.
so going to a jam, and I'm sure you've been, or whatever, and it's all young people.
Mm, yeah.
Then you get like tired as well. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, fuck, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lack of substance. There's a lack
Mm,
of, you know what I mean? It's like, so it's like there always needs to be that balance,
mm-hmm.
and the OGs. That's one thing I think for our community. They always should feel welcome. Some of them don't. They
Mm,
all,
yeah. Yeah.
it's the youth's responsibility. It's people's responsibility. Like, you can't make the OGs not welcome, obviously, unless they're a hazard to the crowd. But, like, like, you have to invite them, because
Mm-hmm.
it can't exist without them. You know.
Mm-hmm. I think that's like, yeah, an important role that, yeah, people from like our generation play is the connecting, because we know people that are older and we know people that are younger, and like we can be that force that brings people together. Like
Yeah.
your company is a great example of that
Yeah,
right
I'm
there.
telling you, it's like it's wild. Like, because I was 21 when I did my first show with Flowrock, and the way I looked at Flowrock, and I looked at DKC, Dazzle, Freezer. They're like, oh, like, like, I was 21. I was like, yo, like, and now I'm in the company. We're working on a piece where I'm the same age they were when I met
Mm.
them, and then I got these young kids that, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh my god, like, you're seeing like the whole, like, evolution
Mm.
in one. Like, if you just scan, and you're like, oh shit, like,
Yeah.
got kids, got, like, it's Tasha's, like, grandmother, like, it's crazy. It's like, yeah, it's wild, man.
Nice, nice.
But yeah, man, what's up with Rory, Mark, like, what's
With
popping
the
with,
On my
yeah,
side, on our side,
they still
I mean, I think Rory's like just doing. He's out in Thailand now and just doing like DJing music stuff. Like he kind of works as a sort of, I don't know exactly, like a booking agent, like talent
Oh,
agent for music performances and stuff like that. So he'll
shit, all
bring
right.
in and book tours and stuff. But I think that's kind of on hold now with the whole
Obviously, yeah.
thing. Um, but he's like really enjoying his life out there, and I don't think he's really dancing much, but uh, I think it's like he said, like given the right opportunity, it'll come
It's a
out.
wrap. Oh,
Yeah,
hell yeah.
it'll
It'll
come
come
out.
out for
Like he's
sure.
it's always there. Um, and Mark is like, Mark is Mark, and he's his own enigma, and he's doing like some programming stuff and website stuff, but he's still dancing, getting down in his apartment get downs kind of thing.
Dope, dope.
Yeah, and like we got the younger guys, and they're still doing their thing, and although they're not too young anymore, they're getting up there.
You know what I mean? It's crazy,
Yeah,
right? Like, no, it's it's wild. It's wild.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
wild, bro.
But yeah, longevity. I think it's like if you if you come in with the right mentality, like you're gonna dance forever, and be open to changes too, like with your
Yeah.
body. I think that's a big thing.
Yeah, I mean, you accepting those changes
Yeah,
that
yeah,
that like, and the danger for us, and I talk about this in the show, like because we're like superheroes, um, we we have almost don't have a choice but to at some point in our career anyway identify ourselves with what we can do, right?
mm,
So, oh, crazy smooth, dude that could jump mad high and I don't know, whatever, right? So, like that's a superpower. At some point, it's like, oh, that's crazy smooth. Okay, well, what happens when you can't do that anymore? Are you
mm,
not crazy smooth? So, at some point, when that happens, I I remember I think it was one of the Sweet Technique jams. Skillsometer, I think they had. And that was the first time I met Stripes, B-boy Stripes. I think he's one of my favorite B-boys right now.
yeah, yeah.
But so we were going to the jam, and Lost Child, like Lost Child was lit. B-boy Lost Child, fresh format.
Mm,
He was my girlfriend's roommate at the time. So I was just there. We were gonna go to the jam, and I was driving there, and I was like, "Yo, you coming?" And then he told me like, "Yeah, I don't know. I'm not battling, so I don't know if I'm gonna go to the gym." I was like, "Well, I'm not battling either. Yo,
mm.
we're going to the gym. Yo, let's come through." It's like, yeah, but like, are people like really gonna like, you know, like people? If I'm not battling, like, why would I go? People really like respect me. Like, am I, And I was like, "What the
Just
fuck are you
go.
talking about, bro?" Like, but it made me realize, and who was it? It was Lance from Albino Zebras.
Hmm.
He had was it Lance? Anyway, he had written something on Facebook, and came out, and it was like a super honest post saying that he felt like, because they asked him to judge competitions and stuff, and like you ask him, like, you have dudes sitting down for like 5 hours, and then, okay, do a judge's demo and show everybody why why you're the judge, like that crazy thing we do in street dance. And he wrote something along the lines of, I feel like I let people down sometimes, but I really want to perform and I really want to do my thing, but like I'm just keeping it real. Like I feel like I'm letting people down and I'm not like representing or something like that. And like, everybody's like was kind of like cheering him up, like, nah, bro, you dope. And it just made me think, like, that identity crisis that one can have
Mm.
when they're attached to a thing that they do, a physical a capability that they have. Will Ivan be Ivan when he can't do backflips?
Yeah,
Will
yeah.
Ken Swift be Ken Swift when it's like that's you like, it's only up to the person to
Hmm.
decide. We can't decide for them. Whether you tell them, yo, no, you're dope. You know, like if they don't feel that anymore, and like
Yeah.
that's something that when you talk about longevity, when you go through that and you come out of that, like still wanting to dance and still like, you know, identifying yourself for who you are, the spirit that was behind the moves that you were doing it. So that spirit is still there, whether you could do the move or not, you
Mm.
know. But some people sometimes they can't
Yeah.
it's stronger than them. They don't have that perspective,
Mm.
you know. And that's something that, you know, like when you talk about longevity, you know, it's like staying yourself through the years and through the when you can do all those moves and when you can't.
It's not just the physical aspect, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
there's
spirit is there,
the
man.
mental battle and yeah, for sure.
That's the real battle.
Mm.
Like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who you like, you know, you won this competition, that competition, blah blah blah. Like the battle is with yourself
Mm.
all the time,
Mm-hmm.
all the time. Because whether you win or not, if you still have those insecurities, they they're just there. You know, you still got to battle that shit. You
Yeah,
know.
for sure, for sure. Yeah, I think that's a good, maybe that's a good point to finish up on.
Yeah,
Um,
man. Keep that
I
spirit up.
yeah, unfortunately I gotta cut it short because I have
No
another
doubt,
thing.
man. But yo,
I
this is that cool. Like
There
we
was
could
a
do.
lot more that I wanted to keep going, and like you just started to get into this aspect of mental longevity, and I was like, oh damn, I just want to keep going with that, but
We'll
unfortunately
do
we don't
another
got.
time, man. It's all good.
Yeah,
Like that's all we have right now is time. So let's
yeah,
let's book another one, man.
yeah. So we'll come back to this at some point in the future, and but I just want to really say thank you to you, Crazy Smooth, for taking the time and just sharing your thoughts. And like I think you're one of the people that has a very insightful mentality towards the dance and just towards the culture and this kind of thing, and preserving it but still pushing it, like keeping the essence alive is how I'll put
Trying,
it.
man.
Yeah,
Trying, man.
it's
And,
really
and thank
important.
you, man. Like I appreciate, you know, like I don't know, 10 years ago, 50, who would have thought we would be having this conversation? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
on a, you know, and it's, so to me it is dope. Like that you and people like you are also the key to this longevity. Like people that have the interest and like are questioning, you know, because it means you're asking yourself questions like, oh, who should I talk to? I want to get
Mm.
into this. Like it's without that, it's like we're not growing either. So, you know,
Mm.
thank you. And you know, and I know you're probably doing other interviews and it's dope. It's feeding the minds of the youth and it's
I hope
helping
so.
well, yeah, I think so, you know, but and
Yeah.
it's also helping us that are getting older and the people that are our OGs like stay relevant and like stay like pushing it
Mm.
here as
Yeah, yeah,
well.
yeah,
You know, so
yeah.
much love, man. And yeah, you know, you hit me up, man. Even if you're in the future, you know, we'll make it happen, yo.
Well, I already know that it's possible because I'm here, so I don't even have to ask. I just,
Yo, we got to talk wrestling next time too, yo.
oh man, I gotta.
The Undertaker retired. Like, yo, we got to talk
Yo,
wrestling.
wrestling now. I can't get started on it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
that'll be next one. It'll be more like just kind of shooting the
but
shit
but
kind
but
of thing.
talking about like the different like influences
Yo, but
and
that's a whole topic of like wrestling influences and care. When you talk about character, you talk about, say, presence and doing something without doing a big move.
yep,
There's so many parallels with there. Damn, I'm just getting excited, like thinking about
yeah,
that
man.
conversation.
Yeah, let's go.
For sure. That's next time. Next
All right,
time.
my brother.
Yeah.
All
All right.
right,
We'll
peace.
catch you later. Thank you everyone for listening and watching wherever, whatever, however you're doing this. So thanks for taking the time, and yeah, thanks again, Smooth, and we'll catch you on the next time.
Peace,
Peace,
yo.
everybody.
Now